Business creates wealth, but it can also produce social change that can help make the world a better place. I'd like to tell you about two initiatives that are trying to make a difference through business. First, a little background. 26 years ago, when I joined the first venture capital fund in Israel, the country was still known more for oranges than for technology. But a dramatic high-tech revolution has transformed Israel into the startup nation. Its engineers and scientists have created flash drives, computer chips, medical stents, drip irrigation, and much, much more. In fact, today, virtually every major global technology company has acquired Israeli startups to gain access to the country's R&D brainpower. These ventures created great prosperity in the technology sector in Israel, but little of this wealth was flowing to the less fortunate groups in Israeli society. I wanted to find a way to get the high-tech community more involved in the broader community. So I started a public service venture fund. The model is simple. Startups don't have much cash, so instead we ask them for stock options. Companies donate options, and when some of those companies become successful, that small option donation can be worth a small fortune. And we then donate the proceeds to education and youth nonprofits. One of the companies that donated options a few years ago was a startup called Waze. When Google acquired Waze last summer, that small option donation was worth $1.5 million. Through exit events like this, our nonprofit has cashed in $10 million so far that we've used to fund dozens of nonprofit organizations, including a youth movement for children with special needs, after-school programs in distressed neighborhoods, and a literacy program that distributes reading materials to immigrant school children, among many other projects. More than 300 Israeli companies have already donated options, and more are joining every week. Tmura enables entrepreneurs to become philanthropists even before they've made any money. And many CEOs tell us that it's not a question of choosing between making profit and doing good. Very often the two can go together. Getting their companies more involved in the community has actually helped their business. It generates positive PR and gives them what they call good karma. It also makes it easier for them to recruit and motivate employees who are happy knowing that they're working not only for the company's shareholders, but also for that 10-year-old boy in South Tel Aviv who now has a place to go after school and is getting help with his homework and a hot meal. This nonprofit, this public service venture fund, has helped change the lives of thousands of children. Just as important, though, it has also helped create a culture of giving within the high-tech sector in Israel. Today, many thousands of employees are doing their share to take responsibility for the broader society. Seeing the impact, the huge impact that high-tech had on Israel, led me to a second social business initiative. I wanted to try to help create a similar entrepreneurial revolution in the Palestinian territories right next door. Of course, Israelis and Palestinians have been locked in conflict for many decades. But I believed that Palestinian economic development was essential for the Palestinians, but also important for Israel. The Palestinian economy today is small, and it's highly dependent on foreign aid. GDP per capita is only about $2,000 a year. Unemployment is 20% and much higher among the young. But some of the elements needed for creating a high-tech sector were already in place. There are some good universities, several companies are already developing software for Cisco and other companies, and most important, there were smart, motivated people. And there's a huge market opportunity in the Middle East. 350 million consumers in the Middle East and North Africa who are rapidly adopting technology, yet there are very few Arabic language solutions online. So someone will have to create the Amazons, the eBays, and the Pricelines of the Middle East. Could Palestinians create some of these companies? What was missing was startup capital and experience in building international companies. No matter how good your idea, if you don't have financing, it's very difficult to hire engineers and develop and market your product. So I decided to try to raise the first venture capital fund to finance Palestinian technology companies. Clearly, this wasn't something I could do on my own from Ra'anana, where I live. I needed a local partner. I had the good fortune to meet Syed Nashif, who had just returned to the region. He's a Jerusalem native. He had just come back after 19 years in the US, where he worked at Microsoft and some other software companies. Syed is a Palestinian Muslim. I'm an Israeli Jew. We come from very different places, but we hit it off right away. And we realized that we had a common goal and that our backgrounds and experience put us in a unique position to try to help build Palestinian technology companies. We set out to raise the fund together. At first, we encountered skepticism. Some of my Israeli colleagues and friends thought I was risking my life. Some Palestinians were suspicious. And most investors wouldn't even consider investing in Palestinian companies. As if that wasn't enough, our timing couldn't have been worse. We hit the fundraising trail just months after the collapse of Lehman Brothers, when financial markets were in turmoil. But we stuck with it, and by early 2011, we had raised $30 million for this venture fund. And we've now made our first investments in companies in Ramallah, which is the technology center of the West Bank. One of these companies enables travelers in the Arab world to book hotels online, a model that has worked in other places and can work in the Arab world as well. This company was started by a smart, dynamic, 24-year-old entrepreneur named Faris Zahir. When you walk into their office in Ramallah, you feel as though you've stepped into Silicon Valley. Another investment is in a mobile app that helps job seekers in emerging markets find work. And another is in a company developing games for mobile devices. With luck and a lot of hard work, one of these companies might become the first Palestinian startup to be acquired by Google or Facebook. That would generate great wealth for the entrepreneurs, of course, but it would also have huge upside for the Palestinian economy. For the only thing that will create long-term jobs and growth is sustainable, profitable businesses, not more aid. And this success would be great for our fund, too, of course, since we seek to generate financial returns for our investors. But it's not just about the money. We also believe that in addition to the financial returns, these companies will generate strong social returns as well. Here's how. First, these startups employ talented young Palestinians and help stop brain drain. Today, many graduates in engineering fields from Palestinian universities don't find relevant work close to home. So they either have to leave their profession or leave the region, which is a loss in either case. What's more, each one of these new technology jobs creates 3 additional jobs in other sectors. Those entrepreneurs eat out in restaurants, they buy homes, they consume services, and the business partners come visit them and stay in local hotels. So this creates an important trickle-down impact on the domestic economy. Like startups everywhere, many of these Palestinian ventures will fail. But the knowledge and experience that the entrepreneurs are gaining will make them more likely to succeed in their next ventures. And some of them will succeed. And once there are a couple of high-tech success stories in the Palestinian territories, many more Palestinians will want to start their own companies to create success for themselves, to make their mark. This is how an entrepreneurial economy gets built. I saw it happen in Israel. And another way in which these businesses are creating social change is by breaking down psychological barriers. When I tell Israeli colleagues about the exciting things that people like Faris are doing in Ramallah, it changes attitudes. When Palestinians see Israelis in the tech sector willing to help open doors and provide advice, that changes attitudes. And when both of them see the partnership that Said and I have created over 6 years now, that changes attitudes. Of course, the ultimate social change is peace. And we're often asked whether business can bring peace to the Middle East. But business progress will not make the political issues disappear or enable us all to live happily ever after. Only the elected political leaders on both sides can do that. And when they do, Israeli companies will be able to access markets in the Arab and Islamic worlds through joint ventures with Palestinian companies. And marketing assistance and financing from Israeli companies will help Palestinian startups succeed. We're not there yet, but meanwhile, the jobs and hope that are being created by these companies contribute to a growing Palestinian economy and make Palestine and help create the conditions that make peace more likely. You know, our fund is still in its early stages, and there are certain to be many more challenges ahead of us. Just as Rome wasn't built in a day, it'll still take time to create an entrepreneurial ecosystem in Palestine. But if we succeed, perhaps Palestine can become the next startup nation and the high-tech engine of the Arab world. And just as technology entrepreneurs transformed Israel, maybe they can transform the region. Thank you.